I truly believe that the universe has our backs, that we are always being nudged towards what we need. But the question is, are we listening? Are you ready to transform your health journey? Welcome to the Holistish Podcast, where science meets holistic wellness to help you take control of your health. I'm Lianne Balazsi, an osteopath with a background in psychology, athletic therapy, and occupational therapy, here to guide you through practical ways to feel your best without relying solely on doctor visits or prescriptions. Join me each week for deep dives, expert insights, and real-life wellness experiments as we explore the powerful connection between body and mind. Whether you're new to holistic health or just looking for fresh perspectives, you're in the right place. Let's start unlocking your healthiest, happiest self together. This is the Holistish Podcast. Before we dive in, a quick reminder. I'm an osteopath, not a medical doctor, and this podcast is for informational purposes only. The content shared here is based on my personal experience in education in health and holistic wellness. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have about your own particular situation and your health. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's get on with the show. What if I told you that your body already knows the way to healing? That deep down, beneath the frustration, the setbacks, and the exhaustion, there's a wisdom within you that's been there all along. Today, I want to help you remember to come back to that quiet knowing inside you, the one that isn't broken, isn't failing, and isn't lost. Because true healing doesn't come from forcing your way forward. It comes from aligning with yourself, not against yourself. That's why I felt called to speak with you all today about healing in alignment and how this can help you remember your own wisdom within. So I like to think in life that when you don't listen to your body's cues, the universe is going to send signals to you that something is not right. So first, life might start by throwing you a pebble. And if you don't listen to that, they'll send a rock. And if you still don't listen, you'll get a big, big boulder. And that's exactly what happened to me when I was smack in the middle of my osteopathy studies. I was over training in the gym. I was involved in competitive sports. I was studying a whole lot, and I even had a part-time job. And I did not want to stop for 1 second, because if I caught myself sitting and doing nothing, even though rest is often very much necessary when you're doing too much, I just labeled that as being lazy and not doing enough to get myself into the life and career that I wanted. So a boulder is exactly what happened. So the pebble was intense fatigue. So I compensated by over-caffeinating. So I had way too many coffees. I'd get up in the morning, I'd have a coffee before leaving, I'd buy 2 coffees before lunch, and I'd have 2 more coffees after lunch. And then I didn't listen. And then the rock came, and I dislocated my shoulder while playing team sports. So I ignored the signal still. I went to physiotherapy and osteopathy, and I did all the rehab. I was the best patient ever. I did everything I was supposed to do, rehab my shoulder, and I got right back to doing what I was doing. But then finally the boulder hit, and I got a really rough concussion when I was, again, playing sports. I must have been overtired, not being able to focus as much as I would normally be. And I got an impact in a non-contact sport. And I was afraid my shoulder was going to dislocate again. So as I was protecting my shoulder, I fell and hit my head. And once I got that concussion, I had to stop a lot of things. And boy, was I angry. I was angry at the person who gave me the head trauma. I was angry at my friends who didn't see that I was unwell. I was angry at the school for not being willing to lower my load without penalizing me from being held back a year. And I just was really mad at myself, actually, because I felt like I'd lost everything that I attached to my own personal identity. And now all I had to do was the thing that I was trying to avoid, was to just sit and be with myself. And funny enough, when I look back now, I can see all that as a blessing because my body went into a complete shutdown because it had to protect me from myself. My body had been screaming at me for years and I wouldn't listen. So now I like to see it as my higher self actually put me in a timeout. And I was actually being offered an opportunity, if I chose to see it that way, that I was able to make an audit of my life in order to truly begin again. I wanted to share this with you today because I feel like there's probably some of you out there who may feel like you may be trying to achieve a goal of some sort, or you have a bit of a setback health-wise, or maybe you're suffering from your own concussion and all you can tolerate is listening to podcasts. So I just wanted to send a little message today of saying, like, if you're feeling like you're stuck in a rut with your recovery, if your progress feels slow, frustrating, or like you're constantly hitting a wall, I see you. I know how exhausting it is to feel like you're doing everything right and that you're still not getting the results that you want. But I also know this, your body isn't the enemy here. It's not working against you. It's working for you. But when you're burnt out, when you're misaligned physically, mentally, spiritually, your nervous system is going to get stuck in survival mode. And when the body is in survival mode, healing takes a backseat. So you might feel like you're not trying hard enough, but what if the real answer isn't doing more, but doing differently? What if healing isn't just about pushing through, but learning to listen, to realign, and to work with your body instead of against it? So if you feel like your recovery is stuck, like you're pushing and pushing, but you're not actually moving forward, you're not broken. You might just be out of alignment. And that's what we're going to explore today. We'll talk about why burnout might be stalling your recovery, not just mentally, but physically and spiritually. We'll look at different ways misalignment can keep you stuck and what you can do to realign. And in the show notes, just to complement with this episode, I'm going to send a link to a simple but powerful tool to help you do a little check-in with yourself and start shifting in a way that might actually support your healing. So before we dive in, let's just take a deep breath. This isn't about fixing yourself because you're not broken. This is about remembering what your body has known all along. Are you guys ready? Let's begin. So today I want to talk about 3 different ways that one can be in alignment with oneself. There's physical alignment, which is restoring your body's ability to heal. There's mental and emotional alignment, which is releasing stress patterns and regulating your nervous system. And there's also spiritual alignment. And that is not necessarily coming from a sense of being tied to any kind of religion. It's actually about reconnecting with actually energizes you from within. So from these 3 aspects, each one affects the other. And even if one of these areas is out of sync, the whole system can start struggling. But here's the good news. When we bring these 3 pieces back into alignment, healing stops feeling like a fight, and your body can finally do what it's designed to do, which is recover. So let's break these down. So first, we're going to start with physical alignment. So your body really is the foundation of this whole thing. No matter how much mindset work you'll do or how spiritually connected you feel, if your body is stuck in a cycle of inflammation or tension and pain, healing is going to feel like an uphill battle. So first, let's talk about structural alignment. When we think about alignment normally, you might think about, having good posture, standing up straight, but alignment isn't just about how you look. It's also about how your body functions. As an osteopath, this is usually where I come in. I help people restore mobility, reduce restrictions in their body so that blood, lymph, and cerebrospinal fluid can flow. But that's just one piece of the puzzle. But why is this important? Because if there are blockages, physical blockages, you're creating stagnation of these liquids. And if there's stagnation, it leaves more opportunity for inflammation to develop. And with inflammation, you get slower healing. So for example, in my case, after having a concussion, you can get restrictions in the upper neck, you can get in the skull, you can get in the spine, even down into the pelvis. And all these create tension patterns that can overstimulate your nervous system and make symptoms worse, like headaches, dizziness, brain fog, and even emotional dysregulation. So you'll probably already have these symptoms when you have a traumatic brain injury, but if you already have these tensions on top of it, it just adds to the pile. And by realigning your structure, the goal isn't just to crack things back into place. It's to gently restore movement where the body has been locked up so that it can actually start to heal itself. But the hands-on work is not alone. But the hands-on work alone is not enough. That's why we have to look at the other major players in physical alignment, which are food and sleep. So I usually like to recommend an anti-inflammatory diet, or at least anti-inflammatory foods. This way you can really start to give the right fuel to recover. So I'd like you to imagine trying to put a fire out while dumping gasoline on it. That's what happens when you're dealing with chronic inflammation, but you're still eating foods that trigger more of it. And in my case, after having a concussion, the brain goes into a state of neuroinflammation. This is part of the healing process. We do need inflammation in order to start the healing process. But if inflammation takes too long, it can actually slow down your recovery. So what you eat can either support your healing process or it can keep you stuck in this cycle of fatigue, fog, and mood swings. So what are the biggest culprits of inflammation? I'd like to think most people know this by now, but it never hurts to repeat it. Ultra-processed foods are probably the top tier of high inflammation foods. There's also refined sugar. There's industrial seed oils, so oils like canola, soybean, corn oil, sunflower oil. There's also if you drink too much alcohol. And in some cases, it's not necessarily according to everyone, but for many who already have a compromised gut, if you are also consuming gluten and dairy and you have gut issues, you probably are getting some inflammation from those foods in that time. So what should you be focusing on instead? Well, things like omega-3s, so eating some salmon, flax seeds, walnuts. You can have antioxidant-rich foods, so berries, dark leafy greens, turmeric. You can have protein and healthy fats. And I highly recommend focusing more on protein and healthy fats than anything, just because they help stabilize your blood sugar. And it really helps with just your overall energy levels so that you can actually get through your day and then not be craving all the other ultra-processed or sugary foods. And one that's I'd like to think is obvious, but can be sometimes the hardest one to apply is adequate hydration. So they say anywhere from 2 to 3 liters a day, but please keep in mind that everyone's body is a bit different. And, someone who weighs 110 pounds soaking wet may not be able to consume 2 liters in a day. That might be too much for their body. You don't want to overdo it either, but you also have to make sure that sometimes if you're extra thirsty, you don't mistake that for a hunger cue versus a thirst cue and you eat when you should have actually been drinking something. You following me? Okay. Now we're going to get to the third aspect of physical alignment, which is sleep. And this is really a non-negotiable especially if you're suffering from brain fog or like chronic fatigue. And also if you're having a lot of stiffness in the morning or if you're having just, trouble with your energy in a day. If there's anything you can take from this one section that I'm talking about, let it be this. You cannot fully recover from any type of burnout, traumatic brain injury, or any kind of tissue repair without prioritizing your sleep. And here's why. Your brain has its own detox system. It's called the glymphatic system. So when you go to sleep, that is when your brain does all of the waste removal. So unlike the lymphatic system, where we tell you, you got to go moving, go for a walk, do some jumping, rebounding to help flush out the excess waste in your body that gets flushed out through your lymphatic system. The brain's lymphatic system, so the glymphatic system, only does that process when it is in deep sleep. So if you are cutting through your sleep time, if you're waking up multiple times a night, if you're going to bed too late, you are not getting adequate deep sleep. And here's why. Deep sleep mostly happens, not only, but mostly happens in the first half of the night. And usually, people who tend to go to bed before 10 p.m., who are asleep by 10 p.m., are starting to get the more optimal ranges of deep sleep in their night. So if you're someone who is up late studying, for example, or you're trying to catch up on work after the kids go to bed and you only go to bed around midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, you have missed your window in order to let your brain fully flush out any of the excess proteins that's accumulated throughout the day, any kind of extra waste from the brain cells. All of that is going to accumulate, and you're going to lag that into your next day. So if you have a lot of brain fog, especially, and you don't need to have a concussion to have brain fog, but if you are someone who is suffering from like a little bit of memory issues right now, you're getting overstimulated easily, you have brain fog, you need to prioritize getting that deep sleep. I cannot say it enough. There may be phases in your life when you will not be able to get the sleep you want. So I'm talking about all those parents out there with a newborn who's waking up every night at multiple times a night. I see you. I've been there. I get it. I promise you it will get better. But yes, there will be a time when I don't want to make you guys feel bad if you are trying and that's all you want. And I come in and tell you, just sleep more. It might be in some areas of our life, at certain phases of our life, we will not be able to do that. But just know that when that opportunity comes back that you can sleep again, please take it so that you recover as fast as you possibly can. So a few ways you can optimize your sleep is to really start setting regular hours of when you go to sleep and when you wake up, and you try to keep those consistent throughout the week. I know, sometimes on the weekend you want to go and see your friends and catch up and stay up late, but by doing that, you're kind of sending your body different signals that there's never a consistent time for melatonin production to kick in and start getting you to get drowsy for your night to really get you into that deep sleep faster. It's also ideal, like I was saying a bit earlier, that you may not be wanting to do work on your computer or being on your phone an hour to two before bed. And this is because of the blue light exposure. Blue light acts just like daylight, and it will stimulate your nervous system to think that it's still daytime, even after the sun's been long gone.
Quick pause for a second. I just wanted to take a moment to say if this material is resonating with you, I would love for you to come and join my free community over on School. That's skool.com. The group I have is called Ask the Osteopath, and we talk about all different types of topics around your health and well-being. Yes, there's foundations in osteopathy, but we keep it to a broader range all around holistic health and wellness in order to optimize your everyday well-being. So if this sounds like a place you'd like to be, I invite you to go to school.com/osteo. And now, back to the episode.
What I have done in the past, because, I'm not perfect. There are times when I'm on my screens just, working on stuff for podcast scripting or emailing with my employees. I have tried using a filter to help. So it removes blue light once the sun goes down. It helps, but I'll be honest, it's still not as good as just stopping completely. So I highly recommend converting to low tech once you're getting into 1 to 2 hours before bed. Reading a book, doing some activity that's not related to mental effort, like doing some stretching, meditation, taking a nice Epsom salt bath, things like that are really going to get you more relaxed. So if you feel like you're waking up and you're doing everything right, but you still keep waking up exhausted, you have to really ask yourself, am I really giving my brain the chance to repair itself? All right, we're going to dive into the second aspect of alignment, which is mental and emotional alignment. And this is all about the power of your perspective. So one thing I want to talk about is just reframing your negative thoughts and training your brain for resilience. We all have automatic thoughts, those little mental scripts that pop up without us even realizing it. And when you're dealing with a tough recovery, those scripts can be brutal. So let's say you catch yourself thinking something like, I should be better by now. Instead of spiraling into frustration, try flipping the script. Healing isn't linear. My progress may not be obvious every day, but my body is still working behind the scenes. Or if you're thinking something like, I'm falling behind while everyone else is moving forward, reframe it to, this is my journey, and I refuse to measure it against someone else's timeline. The more you practice reframing, the more your brain learns to default to resilience instead of defeat. I just want to point out that this isn't necessarily about toxic positivity of any kind. It's just about giving your brain better instructions so it can work with you instead of against you. Another great tool is sunlight exposure. It can actually work as a natural antidepressant in some cases. So it sounds so simple, but it's actually a powerful way to shift your mood. By doing sunlight exposure, especially in the morning, it has been shown to boost your serotonin levels, which helps with your mood and your motivation. It can regulate your circadian rhythms, like we were speaking before with having a good sleep and wake time. And it can reduce your stress and anxiety by just calming your nervous system. So 10 to 15 minutes of natural light first thing in the morning can really make a huge difference. And if you can combine it with some movement, like taking a short walk, that's even better. Me personally, what I try to do, I'll admit, I don't always get to this every day, but I've really been trying to make a point, especially, as the spring is kicking around here, to really get outside 10 to 15 minutes in the morning to get a little walk in. It helps just get the blood pumping. So for the lymphatic system, it's very good. You get the sunlight exposure, which just helps to wake you up more and get me motivated to start my day. And it also just gives me a sense of, maybe it's not hope, but it just gives me a sense of positivity and excitement to start my day and to think of all the different ways I'm going to be doing things to help make a difference for people in their lives. Another aspect of mental and emotional alignment is the healing power of connection. So friendships that can hold you through the storm. We are wired for connection. No matter how strong, independent, or self-sufficient we try to be, we heal better when we're not alone. Simon Sinek put it beautifully when he said that true friendship isn't about pulling each other out of the mud. It's about sitting there together until you're ready to stand up. It's not forcing solutions. It's not rushing the process. It's just being there, present, unafraid to hold space for the hard moments. I can't tell you how many times I felt like I had to handle it all myself. Like my struggles were too much for anyone else to carry. But the truth, healing isn't meant to be a solo journey. Having one quality friend, someone who doesn't try to fix you, but simply sees you, can make all the difference. And if you don't have that person yet, be that friend for someone else. Because when we feel safe, understood, and supported, our nervous system literally shifts out of survival mode. Our body stops bracing for the next threat, and the real healing can begin. So ask yourself, who's my mud friend? Who's the one who's going to sit with me in those tough moments without judgment or pressure? And how can I show up for someone else in that same way? You honestly don't need a really big circle. One real connection is more powerful than 100 surface level ones. And I personally learned this the hard way. Another one I want to talk to you about within mental and emotional alignment is gratitude. So that's when you're trying to find the light without forcing it. And I get it. Let's be real. When you're struggling, the last thing you want to hear is just be grateful. It can feel dismissive, like someone is telling you to put a positive spin on something that still deeply hurts. But real gratitude isn't about denying your pain. It's not about forcing yourself to be thankful for the struggle itself. It's about recognizing the small moments of light that exist alongside the struggle. The friend who texts just to check in, for example. Or just when you go on that walk outside and you get the warmth of the sun on your skin after you've had a hard day. Or just a really, really intentional deep breath that brings even the slightest sense of relief and reducing some inner tension that you didn't even know you were holding on to. So let me reiterate. Gratitude is not about pretending things are okay when they are not. It's about making space for both the hard and the good, so you don't get lost in one or the other. I used to think I had to wait until I felt better to be grateful. But I've learned that gratitude can coexist with the struggle. It doesn't erase pain, but it does remind you that you're still here. And that even in the mess, there are pieces of life that are worth holding on to. So you can ask yourself, what is one small thing I can appreciate in this moment without minimizing what I'm going through? And how can I allow gratitude to soften my experience rather than force it to change? You don't have to be grateful for the struggle, but if you find something to be grateful for within it, you might just find a little more strength to keep going. All right, and the third form of alignment is spiritual alignment. And this is really about reconnecting with the wisdom within. So really reconnecting with the light within yourself, and not necessarily about signing up to a certain religion. So think about it. If physical alignment is about restoring the body, and mental emotional alignment is about rewiring the mind, then spiritual alignment is about coming home to yourself. I truly believe that the universe has our backs, that we are always being nudged towards what we need. But the question is, are we listening? Most of us aren't, and it's not our fault. When life feels chaotic, when burnout or trauma has frayed our nervous system, when we spent years overriding our own needs, connecting inward can feel impossible. But that still, quiet voice inside you, the one that knows when something is off, knows when you're out of alignment, knows when you just need to slow down, that voice never left. It just gets harder to hear when everything else is so loud. Eckhart Tolle writes in The Power of Now that true peace is only ever found in the present moment. So think about it. When you are fully here, in this moment, you are not tangled up in what you should be doing, what you wish had happened, or what you fear will happen next. And in that presence, something powerful happens. Your mind stops grasping for control. Your body softens. And even pain, physical or emotional, loses its grip when you aren't fighting against it. Because in the now, there is no resistance, only awareness, only stillness, only you. And when you are fully present with yourself, something shifts. You are no longer disconnected. You are no longer lost in the noise of expectation, attachment, or regret. You are here. And here is where the healing begins. And I understand that being in the now can be very difficult. I myself can still have challenges with that, and it's an ongoing daily practice. So I'd like to offer for you, if you're interested, I will link in the show notes a little audio where I'll guide you through a short meditation just trying to help you ground in the now. It'll be to help you just find a little bit of grounding through your feet, but also help you stretch and connect with that inner light in order to create more presence in the now that hopefully you'll be able to carry on with you for the rest of your day. So if you want, you can click the link in the show notes and I will send that right to you in your inbox. So as we've explored today, healing is a journey. It's a return to alignment with yourself. And the truth is, the healing that you seek is already inside you. It's a matter of quieting the noise, listening to the signs, and trusting the process. What I want you to take away from today is this. There is no one-size-fits-all solution. Healing doesn't follow a strict formula, and there's no single right way to align your body, mind, and soul. Instead, it's about finding the path that resonates with you, the path where your intuition guides you. The beauty of these three alignments is that they don't exist in isolation. When you take the time to care for your physical body, whether through movement, sleep, or nourishment, you support your mental and emotional well-being. When you work on reframing your thoughts, expressing gratitude, seeking joy, you create space for deeper spiritual connection. And when you reconnect with your soul's wisdom, you gain clarity that guides the way you treat your body and your mind. So my invitation for you today is this. Don't wait for the perfect moment to start. Start now. This is a dance, not a destination. The key is to pay attention to your body's signals. Honor what feels right for you, and be open to the ebb and flow of this journey. There will be times when one area feels more urgent than another, and that's okay. Just trust that each part of you is working together, helping you move forward, helping you move towards a more balanced, centered state. Healing's not about perfection or achieving some ideal version of yourself. It's about coming back home to who you truly are, quieting the noise, listening to your inner guidance, and aligning in a way that feels authentic and nurturing to you. Your journey will evolve, and that's where the magic is. You have everything you need. You are whole. You are healing. Thank you for being a part of today's episode of the Holistish podcast. Ready to take your wellness journey further? Visit Holistish, that's holistic with an SH at the end, .com, to access our latest resources and wellness tools designed to support your holistic health journey. For holistic health inspiration and a behind-the-scenes look at integrating traditional wisdom with modern wellness, join our growing community on Instagram at the.holistish. If today's episode resonated with you, subscribe so that you never miss out on our weekly episodes, and leave a quick review to help other wellness seekers find us. Until next time, stay curious, stay balanced, and keep exploring what works best for your unique body and mind. Your health journey matters, and I'll meet you right back here next week.